In the heart of Turin, under the shadow of the Alps, lived a man whose life would blaze like a beacon in the darkest nights. Joseph Cafasso, priest, confessor, and guardian of souls, walked a path of quiet courage and unwavering faith. Born into humble beginnings in 1811, he rose to become a spiritual father for prisoners, the forgotten, and the broken. His voice was gentle, yet carried the power to transform hearts. His hands, though soft, bore the marks of countless blessings. In a world torn by change and unrest, Cafasso's mission was clear: to bring mercy where there was despair, hope where there was darkness, and light where shadows lingered. This audiobook will take you through the trials and triumphs of Saint Joseph Cafasso's life, his struggle for justice, his devotion to the most desperate souls, and the miracles that crowned his sacrifice. Prepare to journey with a man who taught that holiness is not found in grandeur, but in humble service, and that the greatest power lies in love. Welcome to the story of Saint Joseph Cafasso, the Shepherd of Turin. Chapter 1. Humble Beginnings in Piedmont. Joseph Cafasso was born on January 15, 1811, in the quiet village of Castelnuovo d'Asti, nestled amid the gentle hills of Piedmont, Italy. His childhood unfolded in a world both simple and harsh, a place where faith and family were the strongest shelters against life's storms. His parents were poor, but rich in devotion. From them, Joseph inherited a deep love for God and an unshakable trust in divine providence. Even as a boy, his eyes reflected a calm wisdom, and his heart burned with a longing to serve others. While other children chased after games and laughter, Joseph found himself drawn to the shadows where pain and suffering lingered. He comforted the sick, helped the hungry, and listened to the lonely. These early acts of kindness were seeds planted in the soil of his soul, seeds that would one day bloom into a life of selfless love. At school, Joseph was known for his gentle spirit and sharp mind. His teachers admired his humility, yet noticed a quiet strength beneath his calm demeanor, a fierce sense of justice that would guide him through the challenges ahead. When he was just 13, Joseph left his village and entered the seminary in Turin, a city alive with change and turmoil. Turin was a place of towering cathedrals and crumbling prisons, where hope and despair collided daily. Here, Joseph's faith was tested and forged. He immersed himself in theology and philosophy, but what set him apart was his deep prayer life and his relentless compassion. He would spend hours in the chapel, praying for those forgotten by society, especially the prisoners locked away in cold, dark cells. Joseph understood that true ministry was more than sermons or rituals. It was a calling to walk with the lost, to bring light into the darkest corners, and to heal the brokenhearted. His seminary years were not without struggle. Poverty, political unrest, and personal doubts clouded his path. Yet Joseph faced every obstacle with courage, knowing that every trial was a step closer to God's purpose for him. When he was ordained a priest in 1833, Joseph Cafasso was not just a scholar or a cleric. He was a shepherd chosen to guide the most vulnerable, a voice for the voiceless, a light shining in the shadow of the prison walls. The journey ahead would test his faith and his resolve, but Joseph embraced it fully, ready to become the priest of the prisoners, a title earned through love, sacrifice, and miracles that would inspire generations. Chapter 2. The Priest of Prisoners. After his ordination in 1833, Joseph Cafasso faced a world filled with pain and injustice. Turin was a city divided, rich and poor, free and imprisoned, hopeful and broken. But Cafasso's heart beat strongest for those whom society had cast aside, the prisoners. From the cold, damp cells of Turin's jails to the silent corners of forgotten dungeons, Joseph made it his mission to bring mercy and light. Unlike many clergy who preached from the pulpit but kept their distance, Cafasso walked straight into the shadows. He became a fearless advocate for the condemned, a voice that spoke of forgiveness and redemption even to the most hardened criminals. He believed that every soul, no matter how lost, was precious in God's eyes. This belief gave him extraordinary courage. He visited prisoners daily, listening to their confessions, offering them comfort, and urging them to turn their lives toward grace. Many who met him called him the angel of the prisons, for his kindness was as radiant as a heavenly light in those dark places. Cafasso's ministry was not limited to mere words. He worked tirelessly to reform prison conditions, pleading with authorities for justice and mercy. He encouraged prisoners to see themselves not as lost causes, but as children of God worthy of love and salvation. His compassion extended beyond prisoners to their families, often forgotten and suffering in silence. Cafasso would provide food, shelter, and hope to those left behind, embodying the true spirit of Christian charity. His reputation grew, and soon even judges and politicians sought his counsel. Yet Joseph remained humble, always directing praise toward God, never himself. Among those influenced by Cafasso was a young priest named John Bosco, who would later become a saint himself. Cafasso's mentorship shaped Bosco's vision of serving youth and the marginalized with love and faith. But Cafasso's path was not without hardship. His boldness sometimes brought opposition, and his health was fragile. Yet he endured, fueled by a deep conviction that mercy was stronger than punishment, and love more powerful than fear. Through his prayers and tireless work, Joseph Cafasso became a living testament to the gospel's call to seek and save the lost, to bind up the brokenhearted, and to proclaim liberty to captives. His life among the prisoners was a beacon, a promise that even in the darkest cells, the light of God could shine. Chapter 3. The Confessor and Spiritual Father. Saint Joseph Cafasso was more than a priest. He was a spiritual father, a guide who walked closely with those seeking redemption. His gift as a confessor was legendary throughout Turin and beyond. People from all walks of life came to him, drawn by the deep compassion in his eyes and the wise, gentle words he offered. In the confessional, Cafasso created a sacred space where souls could lay bare their deepest wounds and fears. He listened not with judgment, but with a heart full of mercy. His approach was not harsh condemnation, but tender encouragement, a reflection of God's infinite love and forgiveness. Many who encountered him spoke of a profound peace that entered their hearts during confession. They left transformed, not just by his words, but by the palpable presence of grace they felt through him. Cafasso was especially known for his work with young men and priests in training. He understood that spiritual life was a journey, often fraught with doubts, temptations, and challenges. As a mentor, he offered wisdom forged by experience and prayer, encouraging them to embrace holiness with humility and courage. His spiritual guidance went beyond theology. It was deeply personal. He helped many to confront their fears, embrace their vocation, and carry their crosses with faith. His letters and teachings emphasized the power of prayer, the importance of self-sacrifice, and the need for constant trust in God's mercy. Among his spiritual children was Saint John Bosco, who revered Cafasso as a father in the faith. Their relationship was a powerful example of mentorship and love, a legacy that would shape the future of the Church. Cafasso's own life was a testimony to the very virtues he preached. Despite his frail health and the heavy burdens he bore, he remained steadfast and joyful, a beacon of hope and strength to those around him. Through his confessions and counsel, Saint Joseph Cafasso did more than guide individuals. He helped shape an era, planting seeds of holiness that would blossom long after his earthly journey ended. In every whispered prayer and heartfelt confession, his presence echoed the enduring truth: no soul is beyond the reach of God's grace. Chapter 4. Miracles and Legacy. Saint Joseph Cafasso's life was marked not only by his tireless ministry, but also by miraculous signs that revealed the divine favor upon his mission. Throughout his years of service, stories spread of healings, divine interventions, and moments of grace that touched all who knew him. One of the most remarkable miracles attributed to Cafasso was his healing touch on those near death or suffering grave illnesses. Prisoners, poor souls, and even members of his own community experienced sudden recoveries after receiving his blessing or prayers. These miracles were not just acts of physical healing, but powerful signs of hope, proof that God's mercy flowed abundantly through this humble priest. Beyond healings, Cafasso's spiritual influence bore fruit in countless conversions. Many hardened criminals who once seemed lost found new purpose and faith after meeting him. His presence brought light to the darkest hearts, igniting a spark of transformation that changed lives forever. But Cafasso's true legacy goes far beyond miracles. It is found in the countless souls he guided, the reforms he inspired, and the example of holiness he set. His vision of mercy and justice reshaped the Church's approach to prison ministry, emphasizing compassion over condemnation. After his death in 1860, his memory continued to inspire priests, prisoners, and all who seek to serve the marginalized. The Church officially recognized his sanctity, beatifying him in 1925 and canonizing him in 1947, a testament to a life lived in heroic virtue. Saint Joseph Cafasso's legacy also lives on through the many who followed his path. His teachings influenced generations of clergy and lay people, encouraging a ministry rooted in love, patience, and courage. In Turin, the city that witnessed his humble beginnings and extraordinary mission, Cafasso is remembered not just as a saint, but as a beacon of hope for the broken, a protector of the forgotten, and a true shepherd of souls. As you reflect on his journey, may the story of Saint Joseph Cafasso inspire you to embrace mercy, to stand boldly for justice, and to walk humbly in the light of faith. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the remarkable life of Saint Joseph Cafasso. We hope his story of faith, courage, and compassion has inspired you as much as it has inspired countless souls throughout history. If you enjoyed this audiobook, please consider subscribing to our channel for more stories of saints, heroes, and spiritual warriors who changed the world through their love and devotion. May the example of Saint Joseph Cafasso guide you in your own path, reminding us all that true strength lies in mercy, and that every soul is precious in the eyes of God. Until next time, stay blessed and keep the light of faith burning bright.